Hi, I'm Jen, the Holistic Health Boss, your functional diagnostic health practitioner and expert. And in this video, I want to explain to you why typical blood tests don't tell you squat and what tests you should be running or things you should be considering instead. Because let me tell you, I have received some very disturbing messages from clients over the years, but I want to tell you about one particular person and how this relates. For privacy purposes, we're going to call her Sarah. She started working with me in December of 2015 after participating in one of my seasonal cleanse challenges. And she was attracted to the cleanse challenge for its promise to boost energy, get rid of belly bloat, a flat stomach, and an overall improvement in her health. Now, Sarah enjoyed the cleanse challenge and saw some really great results, but it was obvious that she actually needed more help, which is how we actually came to work together over time. We ran some functional lab tests, identified healing opportunities that she had within her hormones and digestive system, and got her started on the right diet for her body and supplements in order to support her body's healing process. And within a matter of weeks, she was feeling great. For months after starting our work together, Sarah saw significant improvements in how she felt and in how she looked. Her anxiety dwindled down to almost nothing. Her energy was up, she felt better in her body, and her digestion was on point. However, after about a year of seeing results with her personalized health building program, she actually hit a wall and even started going backwards a little bit as well. Now, I encouraged her to run a full thyroid panel for clues, and that's when she was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. Sarah and I continued our work together to help her manage her Hashimoto's with a holistic lifestyle approach and help her to support her thyroid, which included redefining her diet to support the healing process again, changing up her supplements for what she needed at that moment in time, taking more time for herself, and working to eliminate toxins that were actually maybe disrupting her thyroid function. Part of Sarah's health building plan also included following her dreams to leave New York City for the West Coast so that she could live in a more health supporting environment. As she was getting ready for her upcoming move to the West Coast and going through old paperwork and getting rid of stuff like we all do when we move, she came across a doctor's report from 2009. The report clearly showed that Sarah had Hashimoto's back in 2009. Her thyroid antibodies were well over 200 and even marked as high according to the conventional lab reference ranges. Her TSH, or thyroid stimulating hormone, was high, and her free T4 was low when compared to optimal functional ranges. Her health practitioner completely dismissed her thyroid results, even though Sarah was symptomatic, and the practitioner even noted that thyroid level was quite normal, which means the irritable changes are not due to thyroid, even though her test clearly said something different. So again, that's why in this video, I want to uncover why typical blood tests maybe aren't telling you squat and what you should be looking for instead, or what tests you should consider running so that you don't end up like Sarah going years without having the answers that you need to feel your best. Now, had Sarah had received a proper interpretation of her test results or been more well-informed to advocate for herself, she quite possibly could have reversed her Hashimoto's years ago. I can't even begin to imagine how different her life would be today. She could have been living a high energy, flat stomach, and symptom-free life for years had she known better. And here's the thing. Sarah's story isn't one of a kind. I actually hear stories similar to this from clients all of the time. And I too was told for years that I was the picture of perfect health on paper at my annual physicals, although I felt exhausted all the time, struggled to maintain my weight, and had seasonal allergies that grew worse every single year. And then I was diagnosed with skin cancer in my mid-20s as a healthy person, apparently. So I knew there had to be more to my health story than what these typical blood tests were telling me, and I started to investigate that. And here's 3 reasons why blood tests can be misleading and what you should be looking for, or the test that you should maybe consider running instead. Now, reason number 1 is reference ranges. Aren't optimal reference ranges. The reference ranges you see on a typical lab test are determined by the average highs and lows within the population. And calculations can include values for unhealthy or sick people. They don't reflect what would be an optimal range for you to feel and function at your best. These are called functional ranges. So typical lab reference ranges are actually much wider in comparison to functional ranges. For example, the reference range for thyroid stimulating hormone, known as TSH, is usually 0.5 to 4.5, while the functional range is 0.5 to 2. So don't be fooled by typical reference ranges to evaluate your health status, because they're comparing you to actually sick or unhealthy people. You want to be comparing your ranges to functional ranges, which is where you actually want to be in order to feel your best. Reason number 2 is what's common is not normal. It might be common to get a headache, have less energy, gain weight, or have more pain as you get older, but that does not mean that it's normal. Symptoms such as these are the last thing to show up in an already dysfunctional state. They are your body's way of sounding the alarm and letting you know that something is not right or going wrong on the inside. Now, here's the thing. Stress and inflammation are at the core of all disease and dysfunction, yet typical blood tests aren't very effective at evaluating these aspects. C-reactive protein does measure inflammation on a blood test, but it does not measure chronic stress and chronic inflammation specifically. Instead, you would want to consider running a 4-point cortisol saliva or urine test for greater insights on your body's inflammatory response and the overall stress picture it's under. This type of test can also give you clues about your steroid and sex hormone pathways, active and available hormone versus the bound hormone that's found on blood tests, as well as hormone metabolism and even liver function, so that you have that bigger picture related to your health. Reason number 3 is what blood tests actually do. Blood tests can give you some insights on what you need to investigate further. For example, a blood test may indicate that you're deficient in vitamin D or B12, let's say, but you need to ask why. Your body didn't just wake up one day and decide to be deficient in a vitamin. And that blood test is not really going to tell you why. To truly understand why, you might be seeing what you're seeing or not seeing on a blood test, then you'll want to run what's called functional lab tests to look at how the body is functioning or not. These types of blood tests typically include things like a stool sample test to assess digestion, internal inflammation, and toxicity, so you would know maybe why you're deficient or not absorbing vitamins. Maybe a food sensitivity test to assess food reactions that could also be impacting your digestion and increasing inflammation, or a hair tissue mineral analysis to know if toxic elements are depleting the body and if adequate minerals are available for bodily functions, or one of my personal favorites, a comprehensive urine hormone test to assess what is happening as the hormones flow through the body, to look at liver health, detoxification pathways, and so much more. The body is a complex network of systems, so your health ailments are never going to be isolated to one area or one system. They are all intertwined. This is why it's so important to run a couple of tests at once to look at the hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy, and nervous system all at the same time, so you can see how they are or aren't working together and truly know what your healing opportunities specifically are. So don't let typical blood tests fool you, especially if you are told that you look great on paper but don't feel like it. If typical blood tests have been telling you that you should feel fine, but you don't, know that there are other test options out there to help you uncover the missing pieces of your health puzzle, or experts who can help you to interpret blood tests from a functional standpoint to see what they're actually saying. And if you are ready to get your hands on the right lab tests and resources so that you can find the missing pieces of your health puzzle and get back to feeling like yourself again, just like Sarah and I did, then I would love to invite you to schedule an ideal complimentary health and weight discovery session with me by clicking on the links below or going to my website, wholistichealthboss.com. And if you want to learn more about why typical blood tests don't tell you squat and what tests to run instead, make sure you check out the Facebook Live video I did over on the Autoimmune Sisters page, or go to my website and check out the webinar replay, Why Typical Blood Tests Don't Tell You Squat and What You Should Be Testing or Running Instead. All right, that's it. I hope you found this video incredibly insightful, and I'll see you in the next one.